Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination thrive. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair. Come on down and get your geeked up, geeked at the Sci-Fi Center. We got almost everything a geek could want at the Sci-Fi Center. You name it, we got it. Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and everything in between at the Sci-Fi Center.
Hello, I meant to be on much earlier, but I got caught up in Enosh's stream earlier in the evening, and that pushed some stuff that I was going to do back. So I decided, since I wasn't going to do a Sunday night live stream, I was going to do a real quick Midnight Express for anybody that had any questions, and just a way to wrap up, because to me, I'm still in Sunday mode, even though we are 20 minutes into February 7th. Wow, we're halfway through February already. Damn. We are literally less than 5 months away from Superman and a little bit over 5 months away from Fantastic Four First Steps. Woo! I don't care about Jurassic World. Have fun with that one. But yeah, those are the two movies. The one movie for sure that I am 100% on board with. And then, like I said, if Superman is great, then that's a bonus. That's a bonus. But in order for the month of July 2025 to be a success for me, it's Superman. Superman is going to be Superman's going to be the one that I'm not Superman. I'm in Fantastic Four. How you doing, kangaroo? Little koala. We need to get you out to Vegas in the summer so that you can feel, so you can get a different kind of desert, because the outback is one thing, but you got to get out into here in this Vegas heat, Aaron. Have you ever left Australia? That was a question I wanted to ask you, because I know Australia's a huge continent. You really don't need to leave. But I talked to somebody else today, and I just realized, because I've been spoiled, I was born in another country. I mean, I was born in Berlin, Germany, and I via the Air Force. So, and I've been all over the world with the military and other things. And I just realized there's most people you meet never leave the country of their origin. And to me, that's so alien, because of the, like I said, the military has taken me all corners of the earth. Pretty much I've been to every continent but Antarctica and Australia. So, yeah, I mean, it's weird. I wonder if hello, Music Man. Looking forward to all these. Like I said, I never, the dinosaur phase for me, I was already a grown man by the time Jurassic Park came out. I saw the first one. I liked it and everything, but it was never anything that I really wanted any more of. Obviously, the other two are comic book movies, and given what I do, comic books are a little bit more down my alley. My favorite college basketball team, New Mexico, honored Michael Cooper tonight, trying to see if they retired his number. They just showed a backstage Lakers. I was watching the other night when Michael Cooper got his jersey retired from the Lakers. They retired his jersey there. So everybody's honoring Coop. Michael Cooper is a class act, 5-time NBA champion, one of the best defensive players to ever play the game. He wasn't the flashiest guy, and when you think of Showtime Lakers, you think of Magic, you think of Kareem, you think of Worthy, you think of Pat Riley, but Michael Cooper is one of 3 individuals that were on all 5 of the Lakers Showtime teams. Kareem was there for all 5, Magic was all 5, and Michael Cooper was there for all 5. They're actually the only ones. Even Pat Riley, Paul Westphal won the 1980 title, and Pat Riley came in and won in 82, 85, 87, and 88. So he had 4. But Magic, Kareem, Michael Cooper were the only members of the LA Lakers that were on all 5 championship teams in the 80s, and he was their defensive anchor along with Kareem. So, yeah, Coop. I think that's actually mostly American thing. Europeans visiting, yeah, European, especially with the European Union, where you can just travel a lot easier. So, how you doing, Chappie? Hey, William. Well, that was a pretty great combo we had during the Jericho watch party about racial castings. You made a perfect response to my question and comments. It's a very important conversation. Oh, I know we were doing a lot of talking. Refresh me on what we were talking about, because I kind of vaguely remember, but remember I was running all around. I know we were talking. We were talking about like Miles Morales and things like that. Yeah, that's an interesting conversation, because it's I understand that representation is important to me. Person of color, we want to be represented as much as possible. At the same time, so say for instance, if you had me. We have a story that's about a African American born American, lived here in the States all the time, living the American experience. And you had a guy like Donchu, or whatever, somebody, a British Black American person, and that person was a better actor than me and can play an American better than I could, then you go with that guy. You see what I mean? So there's a lot of qualifications there. So whereas if they found somebody like for Miles Morales, Puerto Rican, and Black that played, well, that's fine. That's a bonus. But there are a lot of us that can pass for that. I mean, if you did not know his background, you would not know that Miles Morales was biracial. So, and the same thing with, like I said, the big thing about the thing with Evan Abarak, I think, Brockman, I can't say his last name, but he is Jewish American. But that, there were other people up for the role that were not. I don't think just because a character is a certain necessity that that the actor that plays him needs to be. I go back to The Godfather. James Caan was Irish, German, and he played a Sicilian. Al Pacino, who's in that very same movie, goes on to play Tony Montana, who is a Cuban. Al Pacino is Sicilian. Al Pacino is so yeah, it's Hollywood. So yeah, that was a nice conversation to have. Thanks for the question too, because it really added to the show. Yeah, and you should have shame for owning the Howard the Duck. It's time for you to own some shame, Chappie. God, my goodness. But I'm glad you found an audience tonight over at Point Extra Lounge, and that crazy man has it. Of course. New Mexico is 22-4. Been a great season. Hoping for hope Rich Pitino doesn't bolt. As he is that where he's at? Well, he's always going to bolt. If you're hoping that Rich Pitino's going to bolt, sorry, that's literally, look at where he's been. That's what he does. If he gets a bigger payday somewhere else, Rich is gone. That's what he does. He leaves. Paul Westhead. I'm sorry, I said Westfall. But so I'll get different Paul. But yeah, Paul Westhead won, and then they didn't have the kind of season that they wanted. After 81, and then Paul Westhead, kind of magic got him fired. Ended up working out. Neither one of them were very good, but Howard the Duck was catastrophically bad. No, I've never left Australia. I've been around different parts of my country. Australia and America are similar sizes, both of you. Yeah, you literally, you're on you have everything you need. Dude, Australia is like 10 different countries in one. I want to get to Australia. Me and you got to go out to the outback. We got to go barefooted, Aaron. We're going to go barefooted in the outback, which all we're going to be wearing is khakis, shorts, and we're just going to be in the dark feeling around for trapdoor spiders and funnel webs and we're just going to become one with nature. And I know I'm going to be okay because I'm going to have you, my resident Aussie, there with me, so I can't go wrong. Yes, thank you, Hal Jordan. I got to get better at that. Promoting myself. Yeah, please like and subscribe and share. Share the broadcast. Share the link. You never know. You may have a geek in your circle that might want to join our conversation. Especially if they're like a a night owl like we are here. Let's see. Comments. Agree. William, just don't change the character for the. Yeah, that'd be right for the part. Like I said, and there's another way you can do race swaps is if the race and ethnicity of the character is not an essential part of that character's betrayal. That's why you can do it with Perry White, because you're telling a modern story. You have Black editors in major publications all across the world and in major cities. So him being Black is not going to, that's not the story you're telling. So it doesn't matter who you put in there. Same thing with Commissioner Gordon. There's no part of Commissioner Gordon's character, and that's why Jeffrey Wright is able to play him, where it's about him being Black or white. Now, where you cannot do that, obviously, is going to be the Black Panther. The Black Panther is the native of Wakanda. The Wakandan people are Black. So you would have to get a Black person now, but you didn't have to get an African, because Chadwick Boseman, while African American, was born in Brooklyn. So, but he played it out. You wouldn't. There's some people that I run into today didn't realize that he was an American. So you pick the best person for the role, but there are parameters you want to try to honor if you can. Enosh is not right. That movie is horrible. You ought to be ashamed. Okay, yeah, Richard. Where is Rick Pitino? Is coaching somewhere too, isn't he? And he's actually isn't he doing well? He grew up in Connecticut. Yeah, I thought he was from New York. I thought he was Brooklyn. I believe it. It's like, where's Rick Pitino at, Vince? I know you. You should know that. You're a big sports head like me. Yeah, Chadwick. I thought Chadwick Boseman was. I know South Carolina was in. Was he? Chadwick Boseman. Man, I cannot believe he was only fucking 43 when he passed away. Up Anderson, South Carolina. But he moved out of there. But yeah, he died in California. Wow, it's just sad to even bring up this Wikipedia page. Why do I prefer the dumb narrator? It's not dumb. The voiceover for Blade Runner. The reason why I prefer the Blade Runner narration, because as an 8-year-old, I would have never been able to grasp the concept of that movie. It would have been much harder for people to explain that movie to me without the voiceovers. And when Harrison Ford is telling you, I would have never been able to. I would have never been able to figure out, what Gaff was saying in the language and why he said it, and the overtones of the movie without the voiceover. The voiceover helps me bring brand new people into it. Blade Runner is a great movie, is the greatest movie, along with its sequel. The problem is it's not the easiest movie to pick up on for everybody. So when I'm trying to spread the religion, if I'm giving them the director cut with no voiceover, I can lose people. It's a brilliant movie, but it needs to have itself explained. The concept of replicants is not as obvious at the beginning of the movie as it is throughout the movie. So I think the voiceover really helps explain parts of the movie that really needed to be explained back then. It was a movie that was ahead of its time. And when you're ahead of your time, you really need to make sure you stick the landing when it comes to the narrative. And I thought that the voiceover did that. Especially, it did it for me. Granted, I was so young when I saw it, I had to have it that way. So yeah. How did Captain America? Okay, so it looks like it did globally. It did 192 million. I know it did 100. I did 90 domestically, which is exactly yeah. So global box office 192. So exactly where they predicted it. And next week there's not really anything released, so I don't know if it's going to drop that much at all. I'm thinking it'll be a 50% drop. That's fine. I mean, once you want to try to stay away from the 60 and up, but even at that point, you probably end up making your budget back with this movie. But once again, with any MCU movie, if you're telling the long-term story that Feige's telling, people who did not see this will go see this movie, or they'll end up seeing it on Disney Plus or somewhere like that. Not sure if you missed it, but I put that Rick, the dad, is coaching he's coaching St. John's. Okay, he was coaching Iona. Yeah, what the hell? Okay, I knew both of them were coaching. I just didn't know Rick and Rick. Okay, Rich and Rick. Gotcha. Thanks. I can watch the final cut. Because I know the movie so well now, but I would have never gotten to that understanding without the voiceover. Hello, Joga. We got two Aussies in here. I just saw Section 31 the other day, and was a wild Star Trek movie. I feel like it should have been a series instead. Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about Section 1 or 31. I knew what you were talking about because I've been saying New World Order. I said New World Order while I was at the movies the other night. So yeah, you're fine. Yeah. So what am I going to be up to this week? So I've reached stage 3 of my anime section. So I did a lot of research, did a lot of math, and did a lot of surveying of people coming and going, what they wanted to see, and because I was trickling in anime. So this Wednesday I'm going to put forth my biggest anime order, and then I'm going to give you guys a tour of that section. Probably later on this week. So what else am I ordering? Just ordering a lot of memorabilia stuff, books, a lot of Star Trek books. Did a lot of woodworking today. That's why when you guys are watching Daredevil and I'm away for sometimes and I'm muted, because I'm literally using my saw. When we do the tour again of the store, when you see all those shelvings, I built all that by hand. So yeah, we had some rain the other day and it was really hard where I do my cutting because it was flooding. So ugh. Yeah, once Michelle Yeoh won that Academy Award, her time was her time and her money, the money is a little bit more in demand than just a regular pre-Oscar award winner. It's all right. It could have been so much better, but it's all right. I mean, it doesn't feel as Star Trek. It doesn't have that theme. I mean, there are elements there, but it just feels different. The style of haircut Harrison Ford had in Blade Runner really makes it seem more timeless. And yeah, I can show Blade Runner to anybody. I think it's the talent that I've developed that I can get you into Blade Runner. I can make you understand, and then the movie does the rest for you. Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049. I just watched it. I watched Blade Runner 2049 once a month. I watch Blade Runner 2049 at least once a month because I just really, that movie brings everything back. All the important elements about science fiction that I love are in that movie, and I just love watching it. Yeah, I'm expanding in the same 1,300 square feet that I have. So, man, my place is going to look like a wizard's library. It's going to look like an attic, one of those like Doctor Strange's library that he has in there. That's what my place is going to look like because I'm going from the ground all the way up to the ceiling. There's merchandise. Hello, Duckman. After watching the beginning of Daredevil episode 3, it makes me want to go bowling again. Yeah. Well, yeah, for those of you who were with us earlier today, we began the second season of Daredevil, Netflix Daredevil season 2. We did episodes 1, 2, and 3. Got to get ourselves reintroduced to the Punisher, which who you will see starting March 4th, going forward with Daredevil Born Again. We will be doing a couple more episodes tomorrow night, and we should be done with season 2 this week. We got to be done with it. And then what'll happen is we'll roll right into season 3, and season 3 should give us a couple, maybe a week or so in between, or maybe a few days to dive into Punisher. We'll probably end up having the marathon Punisher because I think it's 2 seasons we want to get to, and then we should be ready for March 4th. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Academy show. If Star Trek is going to do something, I wanted to be a continuation of Picard season 3. No, I did not. Listen, when it comes to anime, I'm being advised on anime. I have people that are advising me on anime, so I'm following their lead. There's a lot. I'm going to admit to you, I don't know what I don't know, but I am, like I said before, I would adjust to where the market and the demand was. The demand still isn't there for me to like retire on anime or some shit like that, but it's enough. It's making enough noise for me to where I want to start planting those seeds and be ready and start building over time, so that in the next 6, 7, 8 months we have a following, or we at least have the basic stuff. There are certain things I'm just not going to carry simply because those are things that I think the local stores will be able to get. But for my tourist, I want to be able to nail down the stuff that they're not necessarily getting there. So yeah, I'm, like I said, being advised. My section's still going to be relatively small. It's a small corner of the store, but we'll see where it goes. What's going on, Fourth? Yeah, she mentioned Blade Runner, William. Get ready for a 4-hour dissertation in at least 4 hours. At least 4 hours. I don't know. I don't think so, Joga. I do not think Rosario Dawson is in Born Again. I'm more in the headspace to give Blade Runner 2049. I think I initially gave up on it because I thought it was more action oriented. Ooh, man, there is action. There's more action. There's more everything in Blade Runner 2049. Blade Runner 2049. So the way I described it in my review that I gave 8 years ago. Oh man, it's been 8 years. Oh my God. Is that it augments the original and it surrounds the original. It surrounds the original and makes it better. There are things that Blade Runner original 1982 could not do, places it could not go, budget restraints, script, all kinds of stuff. Blade Runner 2049 goes far beyond that. It goes places where the original cannot go. It touches on things that the original only hinted of, and it's better in every way. I mean, it's literally, I'm still in awe 8 years later that they took a movie like that after seeing what happened with Independence Day and that trash ass movie that they put out with Resurgence, and then wondering, is this what I have in store for me when it comes to 2049? Not only to that have them make a great movie, but to make to enhance the entire franchise. I really love Blade Runner 2049. No, I have not. I've heard some songs. I heard, what is it? I haven't been paying the something machine, the misery machine, or something like that. And then somebody sent me the link to their YouTube where their page, and just I was listening to some of it. I've only listened to like 2 or 3 songs of it, so but I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they, that Chester's death wasn't the end of Linkin Park. I'm glad that they found the way and the gumption to move on. I was never a huge Linkin Park fan before, but I do appreciate the fact that they've carried on. So. Yeah. Now, guys, when you bring up the Rippaverse, I hear it all over Twitter. I see it all over Twitter. And then some of our fellow streamers, I don't know a lot about what was going on in the Ripper. I know it was an independent or something was going on with it. A guy was it Eric July or something like that? Some guy named Eric was doing something. I know nothing about it. So when you bring up Rippaverse, I'm totally ignorant of it. Sorry if I don't respond to it because I never really followed up on all that. Sorry. From what I have seen of her, like the empty machine. I got it. Okay, there you go. I think she's a fit for that band. I think she complements what that band does. And I didn't know of her before. I know she was in other bands before, but this is my first hearing of her. I think she perfectly complements. She reaches. You'll never replace Chester Bennington, but you can find somebody that complements the people that are still left there, and I think she does that just fine. Very few. I don't do those. I just don't have the market for them. I get a customer every now and then that might want some of those things, but with 75% of my walkthrough and my sales being tourists, most of those guys are going to buy those type of items from where they're at. I found when I opened up in the location that we are at, I did have slab comics, and it took me forever to move them because there's a certain medium price range that my customers were coming in and what they were coming for, and it was just more than it. Once again, though, just as with the anime and everything, manga and everything else, manga, if the demand changes, I will change. But right now, they're just not a big mover for me. No, that's an opinion, Chappie. I don't think so. I think if we're going to go with the best cut of the Blade Runner, the international cut that's on the five disc suitcase, and I think it's been in other places, but the international cut with the voiceover and the Deckard replicant ending, that's the best one. I want a special edition Blade Runner 2029 with an hour cut out of the movie. Are you trolling me? There's actually a 2029 comic, by the way, and it's really good. Renato Martinez, do you think Pa Kent was wrong to die when Shazam exists in the world and doesn't question the world religion? No. Well, that's a tough one. There was no parents involved in Shazam. There was no one looking out for Billy Batson. That was part of his problem. So I can't compare the two situations because there was no one that really cared when it came. And you're talking about a magical being versus an alien, which they would have dissected and really tried to hunt down. And, Shazam is more religious. His powers, you show, there's nothing to really alienate him, but Clark would have maybe, I don't know. Yeah, but they didn't know. Not everybody knew Shazam was Billy Batson. At that point, if he would have used his powers, then they would have known Clark Kent had those powers, and Superman would have been. He would have never had a normal life. Finally watched American Underdog earlier. It's pretty good. Beyonce watched the Beatles. 17 remade 17. I have not seen American Underdog. I'm sorry. Well, that was because Harrison Ford didn't want to do it. That's one of the things when Alan, neither Ridley Scott or Harrison Ford wanted to do the voiceover. Alan Ladd, the producer who's putting the money, pretty much the boss. When he watched the dailies, he agreed with him what a great movie it was, but he also knew that he would not be able to sell this movie to the masses with it was just too hard to figure out. And as the producer who knew about the movie, if he says that, then yeah, you probably need a voiceover. Hello, Belle, how you doing? It's really hard to replace the lead singer of a band. I think Sublime is still touring. I hear fans aren't cracked about that. Well, the lead is his son. Yeah, his son is the singer now. So I've seen him perform on shows. Bradley Noel was something special though. And that's so tragic. I mean, 1995 was in the mid 90s was a bad year. Not only did Bradley Noel pass away, right as they were getting what I got was just they had released Date Rape, and Date Rape, was on college radio and everywhere. And the ska movement was right at its height then. No Doubt was there. Real Big Fish. A lot of these bands, the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, the ska movement was like big, and they were considered right in that neighborhood. And Date Rape had just been released, and if you've never heard Date Rape, let me put that in the chat. I really don't. I mean, it is. I probably got demonetized just by saying the word rape. But Date Rape is a song by Sublime. It's the very first song that that I ever heard from Sublime, and I don't know if that was the actual. Hold on, let me mute myself. All right. So yeah, here it is. So that song was getting a lot of play, and then they released What I Got. What I Got just was a massive hit, and then he was dead. It literally happened like that. Just as What I Got was hitting the charts and the pop charts and alternative charts, Bradley Noel died of a heroin overdose. Fucking tragic. Just unbelievable. And then Blind Melon, Shannon Hoon, No Rain. Remember that song with the girl singing and she's dancing and she's wearing the Bumblebee costume? That song was a hit. He died, heroin overdose. And I'm like, wow. I mean, then their songs are just getting like, major play, and these guys aren't around. So yeah, it's hard to replace a lead singer. And especially if you have a fan base already. But it can be done. Black Sabbath did it, and those albums and those tours did very well. We were talking about the other night, Van Halen did it. AC/DC did it, and did it to a level, probably better than anybody. So it can happen, but a lot of the time there are, for every band that can do it, the majority of bands can't. Queen. Now, Queen was in unique circumstances because Freddie Mercury's voice was unique. Brian May and everybody who wrote music for that band wrote their bands to complement Freddie Mercury's voice, and he sang to complement their instrumentals. So when you have other people doing Queen and that range ain't there, it's nothing against those people. It's just really hard to do that. So yeah. Chappie, I know it's a hot take. Oh, coming out of your mouth. Yeah, it is. I put the director's cut over the final cut. Well, the director's cut is not better than the final cut, but it's an opinion. I like I said, as somebody who's if you were watching Blade Runner with me, you would need the voiceover because I can tell you everything about the movie that you need to know. It might take us 3 hours to get through it because I'll have to pause it and explain shit. But if you're sitting with me, I can tell you, hey, this is what he meant by that. But it's not a real way you want to watch the movie. Alice in Chains, yes. Alice in Chains went and got a lead singer that sounds just like Lane Staley. And that worked because the kind of music that they were used to writing fit his voice. And he could, in turn, give them a voice that they could write similar music. They released new albums and stuff after Lane Staley passed away with the new guy. And he does. He sounds a lot like him. It's not. I mean, it's in the DCEU, but the Snyderverse would consist of his films. Yeah, man, he died of it. Another guy died of a heroin overdose, man. These guys in the mid 90s just didn't it was either suicide or heroin. If you look at it, I mean, shit. And in Kurt Cobain's case, it was a little bit of both. You look at the grunge era of the 90s, the only one I can think of that's the top tier bands that survived was Pearl Jam. Nirvana, gone. Soundgarden, I mean, lead singer wise, Soundgarden, gone. Alice in Chains, gone. Those are the big pillars of that movement in the early to mid 90s, and none of them made it, man, except for Betty Better. It's good, but focuses more on Kurt Warner's personal life and struggles than the NFL part. Oh, okay. This is that movie about Kurt Warner's, throwing bread in the supermarket like that story tells? Why are you laughing at me? What's so funny? I mean, there's many reasons to laugh at me, but why are you laughing at me right now? Sublime continued. Yeah, they continued as the Long Beach Dub All Stars, which I like, but it wasn't the same without Bradley. Yeah, and the reason why they wanted to go on as Sublime, but his mother was really angry about that. And she's okay with her grandson playing, but she was not okay with the band carrying on without Brad until the son came along. Yeah. Love is what I got. I mean, and that song just really Santeria, remember? I don't like no Santeria. That song he was already gone by then. That song was a hit. It was just so tragic that that these guys were just couldn't hang around long enough to enjoy their legendary success. No topic tonight, bro. It's a Midnight Express. I meant to be on earlier, but I got caught up in Enosh's madness, and you know how that can go. So I was on that show for a little bit because he hadn't streamed for a while, and so I got on about 40 minutes ago. So no topic. It's just whatever you guys want to talk about. Smoke 2 joints, yeah. Heroin kills because they don't have a good cook. Some people take anything and end up dead. Well, that's true right now, but heroin can kill you with the best shit, dude. If you're doing heroin, like if you're doing speedballs or anything like that, but heroin in general, I've known people in army. I've known people in general that have OD'd on heroin, like stuff that they got from high end stuff, and it killed him. I'm pretty sure that your odds of dying are good when if it's if it's cut up or it's all fucked up. But I'm pretty sure heroin can fuck you up like that. I'm a straight edge guy. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do anything. I don't smoke weed. I've never even tasted alcohol. So heroin would kill me on the first try, I think. I don't care what version of heroin it is. Black tar doesn't matter. If this body got heroin, I would literally go belly up because my body has no immunity to any of that stuff. And yeah, so yeah, heroin. Philip Seymour Hoffman is another man. Heroin's taken so many good people. No. Just say no. Just say no. Just like I said, I didn't even see your quote yet, but Philip Seymour Hoffman was on the rise. He's 46-year-old. He had won an Academy Award for Capote. This guy had 30, 40 more years of acting in him, but he just couldn't get off he could get off Mr. Brownstone. I know Audio Slave has a new lead vocalist, and they oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that. So Audio Slave is doing both Rage Against the Machine music and Audio Slave. Okay, I did not know that. I knew Rage Against the Machine got back together. What I got my phone love to correct me, even though it's not necessary. I know, guys. I am the king of fucking up corrections and autocorrect. So when you mess up, I my eyes read what you meant to say. So I'm good. Creepily replace the voices. Yep. Okay, I didn't know Bradley's son was the lead. I always say Sublime with Rome. I guess is Rome. So let's look up Sublime. What's his kid's name? Is it? Because I saw them on Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon was Jacob Noel. Jacob Noel is the lead singer now. The original band. So the original band was Bradley Noel, Eric Wilson, and Bud Gow. Now it's Bud Gow, Jacob Wilson, and Jacob Noel. So Bradley Noel, man, this is so tragic. By the way, he has a birthday coming up here in a couple days. He was born on February 22nd, 1968. He'd be 57 years old. Man, goddamn, he would still be making music, man. He died May 25th, 1996. And if you look at when they're let's see, past members, additional discography. So you had so they had 3 albums. They had 40 Ounce of Freedom, and what did that have on it? Bad Fish singles. Okay, let's see. All right, 40 Ounces of Freedom was their debut album. Man, that was in 1980. They weren't around for very long at all, dude. Robin in the Hood, that which one is that? The one who had Robin in the Hood had like 22 fucking tracks on it. Holy cow. Waiting for Bud, Steady for Lou, Pull Shark, Greatest Hits. Second album, they were doing Greatest Hits. Lincoln Highway, I remember Cisco Kid. Boss DJ, I don't care too much for Reggae Dub. And then their third album, which would be the last album, was Sublime, was a self album. Sublime. Now that was released. Let's see. Okay. Oh wow. This album was released 2 months after he died. I mean, and let's listen to you guys. If you know this band, these are what I got. The biggest hit. Santeria was their second biggest hit. Wrong Way was a really cool ass song. Um, man, Jailhouse, Pawn Shop, Pal Out, and this was back when you did a lot of tracks on your songs on your releases. This had 17 tracks. Man, it's depressing to think about what went on with them. Because the voiceover is so bad, I don't know why they let me live. You listen, it's a controversial thing. A lot of people, um, even that scene when Roy Batty dies, if you look at it in retrospect after 35, 40, 42 years, right? And Blade Runner has become part of lore. When that movie came out, that movie was not perceived well. That movie was not understood. So it's easy to say that after 4 decades, but when the movie was being put out, that movie was not being the concept of Blade Runner was not being grasped very well. It wasn't being grasped at all. It's one of the reasons why the movie bombed. It was a hard movie to get. We look at it now through the lens of history, but at the same time, the producer who saw that movie move along every inch of its production knew it was going to have a hard time for people understanding. And when they said, "I don't know why you let me live," in that thing that that was because they did not. It was not clear why Roy Batty let him live. Now it's okay for Ridley Scott to say, "Oh, they'll understand it because he made the movie." But Alan Ladd overrode both him and Harrison Ford didn't want to do it, and you can hear the sarcasm in Harrison Ford's voice. He didn't want. He didn't want to do it, but I'm glad he did. I'm glad he did. I don't know if I would have ever grasped the concept of Blade Runner without it. I was 8. All right. And there were adults that were seeing it that even with the voiceovers were still struggling with it. We look at it like now, with the luxury of history and, the concept, but in 1982, that wasn't that easy. And when he goes Tears in the Rain, people are like, well, there's some voices over ruins it. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It explains to the audience where Roy Batty was because the movie, to be honest with you, does not do a good job doing that. It's one of the reasons it failed. I live outside of Kurt's hometown. I live here. Yeah. Okay. So practical joke. We played on, so when I was deploying out of Fort Lewis, we got some downtime to go around Seattle, which is a city that if I don't go back to LA or California, I got to go to Seattle, Washington. And I want to live on Market Street. I love that fucking city. So we went to Renton. We went to go, to get Jimmy see Jimi Hendrix's grave. In fact, over here, you guys can't see it. I have the grave rubbing. So I took the paper and I rubbed, and I got Jimi Hendrix impressions on his guitar and everything, and I have it sitting over there. We played a joke on the Air Force dude we were with, and we sent those guys to find Kurt Cobain's burial site. Kurt Cobain doesn't have a burial site. His mother, when he had him cremated, and his ashes spread somewhere, so there is no burial site at that time. And I don't know if there was none now. So they weren't too happy with us when we met back at the base. How did you feel about the happy ending? Well, I was okay with it for all those years. I didn't know of anything else. To be honest with you, I didn't know about the alternate ending until 1990 when they re-released and then he did his director cut. Remember, his director cut is the one that adds the unicorn at the end. Yeah, he threw bread like football. Yeah. Oh yeah, dun, 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 dun. I love that song. It's a very graphic song. I put it in the chat so you guys can have some fun with that. I remember seeing Kurt and reading Kurt's last note on the news. I remember that when he died in April. I remember they were reading it over a loudspeaker, and it was, dude, the soul of alternative music, especially the grunge music, was torn out that day. Yeah, he dealt with a lot of depressions, and music was the way he got through, and he also dealt with a drug issue. He left rehab He was in rehab and he voluntarily left it, and they were looking for him when they were finding about. So. So Cypress Hill, yeah, they're really old school. They're really old school. I mean, Insane and Membrane, they did a lot. I mean, I listened to a lot of them. They were at Lollapalooza one year when it was here. Let's see, Ghetto Boys, Goody Mob. Yeah, that's the kind of lineups that they would be at. You know, they had a great they had a great they had a great crossover following. They were in Glen Helen and San Bernardino. Okay. Jonah Hex isn't great, but it wasn't. There was not. I don't think the kind of effort that you really needed to put in there was put into that kind of movie at that particular time. Daniel Martin, I'm still studying me now that we're coming up 30 years to Tupac not being around in 2026. Yeah, I remember that happened. Yeah, that I can always tell you guys that happened on my birthday. Tupac, I was obviously as every birthday when I was in the army, I was spending the my first weekend as a reservist. It was the end of the first week, so I was out at the range, and we found out that Tupac got shot because we were out trying to get radio connection to try to find out who it was. I think it was Mike Tyson and Bruce Seldon were fighting. That was the big news, and we knew there had been a fight. And we had heard Tupac had gotten shot. Well, that even in itself wasn't a big deal because Tupac had been shot before. He'd been shot multiple times before. So they're like, okay. And then they said he was in critical condition. I'm like, okay, this guy's going to pull through. And then 4 days later, he dies on September 11th, and he doesn't pull through. And with that started, oh my goodness. And then all the people involved in all that. And, Vegas not wanting the bad glow of having Tupac being murdered here and having the investigation. They really did a lot of things to, in my opinion, hinder that investigation when you had a cat writing books that he did it. This is how messed up with the Tupac. Tupac got shot on Colville and Harmon. For those of you who have not been to Vegas, Colville and Harmon is not your side street or your little unpaved road. Colville and Harmon is the Strip. Somebody got shot at a crowded Saturday night on the Strip, and they didn't catch this fool until decades later, even though he's writing a book about it. So, yeah, Tupac, rest in peace. Let's see. For Audio Slave, it's what is their main song? Like a the main one they put out. What was goddamn, I can't think tonight, guys. Wow, it's been 20 years since they released that album. There's Like a Stone. The guitar solo in Like a Stone. I love that guitar solo. I love the era of rock, especially when Bell, damn it. I just had to ruin my night. Linkin Park, Korn, Slipknot. Yeah, what a time to be a teenager. I forget you're a little bit younger than me. I come from a different era where you took the NU off of metal, and that's what we had. I always appreciated the natural progression of metal. Like I said, as long as metal kept going, I was okay. Because remember, I was saying last night, metal came from that hardcore heavy tone with rock guitar and things like that. That came from blues. The Tony Iommi's, the Jimi Hendrix, the Pink Floyd, those guys, the Dave Gilmour's, those guys took blues guitar and they turned it into what would be heavy metal. So heavy metal, it was only natural that heavy metal would turn into other things. I'm not a big fan of new metal, but I appreciate how it came about because remember we were talking about in the mid 80s, A lot of that stuff was considered, you know, it wasn't. They had different terms for it. Rock rap. You know, you had Run DMC and Aerosmith getting together, and a lot of those guys were watching that. And 25, 30 years later, here they were making a much heavier version of it. But new metal's not for me, but I can appreciate people's love for it. All right, so fuck Fourth 1000 is basically what I'm saying here. The movie fails because it's boring. Listen, dude, there's nothing I can do with you here. But that final Donald August edition is described by Frank Darabont, director Shawshank Redemption, kind of cold water splash from the hottest stick. If you think Blade Runner is boring, there's nothing I can tell you that's going to change your mind. I mean, you either, you know, yeah, Aberdeen, yeah. But like I said, I knew he had been cremated at that point, and I was just, you know, I mean, because it took us forever to find, dude. Britain is not an easy place. Britain, Washington, that ain't an easy place to find. Damn it. And you're talking with soldiers who can do GBS and shit like that. I mean, we couldn't find that fucking place. But when you find it, it's beautiful. They had they had taken Jimi Hendrix's grave, his original grave, which was just the stone, and they moved it. They had moved it over to this nice awning thing. It was marble. It was beautiful. And they were very, I mean, you walk up to the cemetery, the place, and they know what you're coming there for. They give you the paper, they give you the thing to do it with, and they allow you to go over there because they know that's what Jimi Hendrix means to people. Jimi Hendrix was dead before I was born, and he has had a effect on my life music wise that, you know, a lot of musicians just don't have. Say hello, Sniplots. If not, I can't talk. What are your thoughts on Halloween 1, the day crossing over with I hope never. Never. All of those franchises need to go away for a little bit. But Jason and Freddy crossing over, one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen. And Halloween, that's a franchise that just needs to go away. It needs to be buried and lost somewhere, and someone needs to dig it up 15, 20 years from now. Because no more. We need new music artists. Tired of teens bumping out old stuff. What the fuck happened to music? I guess that's going to be from a point of view. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the current era of music, but you know what? That's what music is. I mean, I'm pretty sure that when I was listening to Metallica, there were a lot of AM Gold rock band people that weren't into that. So I guess it's subjective. But the good thing about music is even if I don't like the current stuff, I have access to the stuff that makes me feel good. So here you go. Yeah, so Kurt Cobain had a really bad stomach ulcer, and painkillers weren't working for him. He had already been dabbling in drugs, but a lot of people say that he was medicating himself to get over the pain of the ulcer that he had. Something was wrong with his stomach, but he was doing heroin to help with that. On the day he killed himself, apparently there was enough in his system to where it was like, you know, within it's tragic. 27 years old. Why do you think some people hate the 2000? I think people didn't. Well, once again, we talked about this before. The movie wasn't marketed right. The movie was marketed to the point where and we promoted that movie, and a lot of people thought that was a remake. And when you remake a John Carpenter movie like that, it was horribly marketed. Yeah, I know there's some conspiracy people out there that think Courtney killed him and all that stuff, but he was suicidal to begin with. So it's not a hard stretch to when somebody is suicidal and you add heroin to it and you add pain and everything he was going through, and you add depression. It's not a far stretch that Kurt Cobain killed himself. But I know there's these I know I've heard it all the time. Biopic is overdue for Nirvana. All right. So the trajectory of modern music was good until the 2010s. I really could not tell you to find. You know what? Here's the thing, though. Every now and then I'll hear a song because you walk through places, you'll hear music on the overhead, you'll hear a commercial, and then I'll pull out my Shazam and I'll play it. It's just that random, but a lot of it is because there's just the radio is not the main place where people get it from. Yeah, new metal just wasn't for me, but like I said, your generation, that's what you guys came into, so I can appreciate that. Well, that's the music being discussed here is just mostly what I listen to. I mean, um, there's not a lot of indie. I mean, there's indie bands that I hear about, but my access to indie bands isn't what it used to be when I used to listen to KUNB, the radio station I hear, the college radio. That's how I would get introduced to a lot of indie bands. But they had this show, I think they still have it, but it's not the same. It's called Rock Avenue. And it would play overnight, and I would be working overnight, and then that's where a lot of the music, that the underground, the buzzbin type of music, even some of the bigger bands that were known, but they were not mega bands. I would hear through college radio, and now the college radio scene, is not as big as it was then. Okay, when you guys say mainstream music, you got to understand what you consider mainstream is not necessarily mainstream to the next guy, and what you consider. I mean, it's all a point of view. So mainstream music is. I mean, there's some people who think some of the metal bands I listen to are mainstream, and they're not. So let's see. If you want metal, just look at everything on Napalm, Nuclear Blast, European bands, English metal died decades ago. Yeah, in that respect, the metal that made metal what it is. I mean, it's transformed into something else. But like I said, I'll still always have that. I will still always have. I mean, no matter how much new metal or new heavy metal or whatever you want to call it comes out, it doesn't take away Master Puppets. It doesn't take away um, Injustice for All. It doesn't take away Peace Cells. It doesn't take away Kill 'Em All. It doesn't take away any of that. Those things were immortalized, and I will always have those songs. Even if if a lot of the new stuff isn't for me, I have that. I have that sound. I have enough to live on. Still unbelievable where Tupac's On Living took place. It's no wonder why everybody was filled with the conspiracy theories. Well, because it was a conspiracy. It's not a theory. It was a conspiracy. It would be so hard to believe no one saw. Well, nobody, you remember the whole snitches get stitches. I mean, and, you had outright gang members, involved in all that. So they weren't going to snitch on each other. So, but yeah, like I said, the Metro and LAPD actually, they figured out who they knew who did it. And, then the guy who wrote the book was the one who was ordering. He's the last living person that was there that night. But once again, we had just had Rodney King. We had just had OJ. Vegas at that time didn't want that heat. They didn't want, because the trial would have had to take place in Vegas because the crime took place there. They didn't want that. They didn't want that. Let's see. Let's take a. Well, when those guys got big, so that's what happened. Let's see. There are theories of why both Tupac and Biggie Smalls were murdered because they're in the process of ending the East Coast. Well, with Tupac, it was a spillover from the fight. If you see the people that were the most likely the ones shooting, or the ones he's kicking the hell out of at the MGM, and they rolled around and they saw him, and that's when it happened. When it comes to Biggie, that one's a little different as far as there's a lot of conspiracies about that. Let's see. Well, once again, hip hop is still out there. You still have people out there. Hip hop rap. I mean, you just had Kendrick Lamar do a halftime Super Bowl show, one of the biggest ones ever. So, and a lot of it is being redefined by the generation that's buying and listening to it today. So, Freddie versus JD was trash. Let's see next. Okay, you would know. No, it wasn't. But okay, sure. Hey, does that paper plant still smell out in Tacoma? Man, we would drive by that every day to get into Seattle from Fort Lewis. Man, that thing stunk. No, I really don't. See, here's the thing: when you're talking about a crossover of that nature, you're talking about um, three distinct franchises that had something about them that made them special. Crossing over with them just doesn't work. You kind of cancel out the things that made each individual one special, and that's one of the major problems I had with Freddy versus Jason. That was just silliness. Yeah, there was a lot. I mean, and that shit spilled over to TV. I remember the Soul Train Music Awards, or Snoop Dogg was up there. It was on the East Coast, and remember that East Coast ain't got no love for Death Row and all that. So I'm like, good lord. And it was just an explosion ready to happen. William, do you think the movie soundtrack will overcome? I really hope so. I don't know, but I really hope so. I mean, we've covered the death of the movie soundtrack before on this show, and then we covered street movies like Streets of Fire, which is basically a long video to sell music, The Crow, things like that. I really think that musical soundtracks made these things special. Now I love musical scores, don't get me wrong, but I think you could have the best of both worlds. I Give me a Hans Zimmer score and a Soundgarden song. Give me you know a John Williams score and then give me Guns N' Roses. I think the movies can have them both. I don't I don't know why the motion picture soundtracks went away. I just don't know because people are still making music. I think a lot of the old school Hollywood that were making these movies no longer connected with the new genre of music that was coming out, and that's probably why like new metal wasn't it for them. So it might be that, but yeah, I really hope it comes back. I mean, listen, those guys who made those albums are still making albums, and there's still a lot of American metal. It's just not Metallica. It's just not Megadeth. It's out there, and you have to go find it. You have to go find it. Stay on topic. There is no topic, but yeah. I'm a fan of Toll. Porcupine Tree, I'm not familiar with. This was the impromptu scream. I wasn't. Once I got done with Poindexter Lounge, I was gonna be done for the night, but I figured I had a little bit of energy left, so I let Brad know we were going on, but once he's 3 hours difference from me, so people forgot for Tupac. Yeah, he was a Hollywood actor. He was a poet. He had been in what 2 or 3 movies. I know he was with the one with Janet Jackson. He was very talented. He was really young when he died too. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Joint base, something like that, logistical movement or whatever. Yeah, I something. Well, when I was deploying, it was we flew out of McCord, which was like literally you jumped over the fence and you were there. Whatever happened to Freddy versus Jason versus Ass movie? I hope it never gets made. I would rather you just make an Ash movie or another Evil Dead movie. I don't want to see that. All right, see you later, Ozzy. The Tacoma Aroma. Yep, that's what they called it then too. Never thought I would end up stuck in Washington out of all places. Damn cold up here and expensive. Yeah, how did you end up? Was it the military that got you up there, Bev? Because I know you said you're from like Fresno or Fresno. Is that the part of California you grew up in, or were you in Southern at all? But yeah. How did you end up in? Most people that I know end up in Washington State because of the Army. And I know you were Army, so is that how you got up there? Yeah, you got to go places now. But to be honest with you, it comes full circle because without radio and MTV, some of the bands I got into, I would have never gotten into. But yeah, they've gotten too crazy. That's up, Antonio. Yeah, John Wick had a soundtrack. There's a couple of them, but it's rare now to get a soundtrack. Poetic Justice, that's what it was. Oh yeah, when they started doing reality TV and Real World and Jersey Shore and Cribs and all that kind of stuff. Jarbo and Bell are resident Washington YouTubers. Does Jarbo still stream? I haven't seen his stuff pop up on my feed. Do you think Nolan could have had a Joker and Scarecrow mask on a plane with Bane? I don't know. I don't know. I know there were plans to use Nolan or need to use Heath Ledger again. I don't know how solid those plans were, but yeah. Let's see. My ex-husband was stationed out here. He PCS 2 years ago, and I met someone out here. Okay, so it was the military. All right. But you're originally from Fresno, you said. I think you told me. I always figured you were from San Bernardino or LA. Jarbo is streaming tonight. He streams on the Matt Jarbo channel and 3 Buck Theater one as well. Okay, yeah. I haven't listened to his show. I used to listen to his show all the time, but my schedule changed. All right, guys. I think that's it. I mean, we didn't have any real topic today. I just wanted to talk. I just wanted to had a little bit of injury. Now I'm hungry. And like I said, my hands are all cramping up because I was holding the saw all day, so building shelves and shit. So, all right. So tomorrow night, it looks like we're gonna do another couple of episodes of Daredevil, probably episodes 3 and 4 of the season, and that'll get us back on track and to finish Daredevil season 2 this week, begin season 3 next week, and then hopefully throw in some Punisher if we can. But we will be streaming. We will be streaming each episode of Daredevil Born Again. Oops, what did I do? I got out in 2015 out of 4-door run. Yikes. I wish I would have stayed. And yes, I was born in LA, but raised in Fresno. Okay, cool. Why you leave LA for Fresno? Oh. I'm just kidding. Probably some Fresno person's going to email me. What's your problem with Fresno, man? But Barstow, ugh. Barstow, man, it's like being out on the moon, dude. National Training Center is like the moon. There's nothing going on out in Barstow. Hey, no worries. Like I said, our schedule and then Brad's near-death experience with his flu kind of jammed up our signal. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow night. Please like, subscribe, and share the stream. Bring some of your homies in here and maybe we can have a different I like the conversations we have now, but when you bring different people in, you have a different conversation. So let's try to keep this shit growing. Have a nice morning, and I will see you tonight for Daredevil's episode there, season 2, episodes 3 and 4. Goodbye.